and welcome to Boxed In. It's Yahoo Sports' debate show where we take every single argument ever had in a sports bar and we put it to the test. I, Liz Loza, am going to be your judge and jury today, and arguing the greatest NFL rivalry. We have NFL senior writer Frank Schwab. He is arguing on behalf of the Bears and the Packers, and arguing on behalf of New England versus the world is Charles Robinson, our NFL insider and senior reporter here at Yahoo Sports. All right, gents, before we start this, I have to say I'm a little bit nervous. Like, everybody watching knows that I'm from Chicago and that I have an on-again, off-again relationship with the Chicago Bears, as anyone who's from Chicago does. Some people are more loyal, but, you know, I like to keep my options open. Anyway, Frank, obviously, you've got an advantage here. I'm going to try to be biased, but also Charles is absolutely terrifying and not someone I really want to piss off. So this is going to be a little bit interesting when we come down with a final decision here.
I'm 0-2 in this. I'm getting off the mat in this one. All right, Frank?
Hopefully 0-3. 0-3 now. Yeah, got to keep that streak going.
Frank's never been in the boxed-in ring, so we'll see how he can hold up to our vet, our 0-3 vet here. You're more and more like a Chicago Bears after all. So, all right, Frank, you start things off. You tell me why the Chicago Staleys and the Green Bay Packers, whose rivalry is the oldest in the NFL, dating back to the 1920s, is the superior rivalry in the league.
There can really be no question about it, because this is the only rivalry in the NFL where people live this every day. It is like a college rivalry. This is Alabama versus Auburn. This is Texas A&M versus Texas. Whatever one you want to pick, Packers and Bears is the only one like that. I'm from Wisconsin. I was born there. And you know, if you live in that eastern part of the state, you hate the Bears. You live in the western part of the state, you hate the Vikings. But the hate for the Bears is all day, every day. It is 365. It's not like I'm based in Denver now and people are, oh, I hate the Raiders. You don't hate the Raiders on June 10th. You just don't. It comes and goes. Tomorrow you'll hate the Chiefs. The next day you'll hate the Chargers. Packers and Bears is every single day. That's why it's the best rivalry in the NFL. It's the only one that comes close to a college rivalry in pro sports.
Interesting reveal that you're from Wisconsin and therefore leaning towards the side of the Packers. Charles, tell me why New England, who is, a much newer franchise than either the Bears or the Packers, deserves this rivalry with the rest of the world as the best in the NFL.
Well, first off, I knew Frank was going to be grandpa sitting on his porch in the rocking chair going 100 years. You know, he's the grandpa who tells you Germany, Japan, and Italy, that's the axis of evil. Like, he's still arguing right now that these are still the rivals, okay? I mean, look, if we want to look at this from a historical perspective, go back to Napoleon Bonaparte, and France has been a part of every single war. Basically, it's happened on a world scale. Is anyone sitting there going, that's my big rival, the French? No, of course not. This is ridiculous. Frank's going to sit here and he's going to tell you, oh, go back to the 20s. There's this era from 1921 to 1946 where there was 13 NFL championships between the Packers and the rivals. Or go to the 60s where there was 7 NFL championships or Super Bowls between these two franchises. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about the NFC North. Nobody cares about the Bears or the Packers. I'm sorry, you say that the Bears... Look, I lived in Chicago. Nobody in Chicago cared every day about beating the Green Bay Packers. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you right now.
Were you talking to people? Were you just
every
shut
day?
In?
Every day, Frank, I was in the bar every day in Chicago, okay? That was my entire Yahoo era while I lived in Chicago, was sitting in the bar. And let me tell you something right now. Go into a Chicago bar right now and say, you can beat the Green Bay Packers or you can beat your own front office. What are you going to do? Ryan Pace is going down, okay? No one cares about beating the Packers. I'm going to tell you right now, the 100-year argument is not a real argument. Now, the Patriots, on the other hand, I will succinctly give this to you. In 2019, 1 year ago, 13 states, not even franchises, voted the Patriots the most hated team. 13 states, 8 of them didn't even have an NFL franchise, and Hawaii and Alaska hates the Patriots, okay? I'm going to tell you right now, that by far is easily the most hated NFL franchise on earth. The Patriots are rivals with everyone. Let's break it down.
This is 51st dates Charles right here. He forgets everything. 20 years ago, nobody cared about the Patriots. And in 6-7 years, when Bill retires, when Josh gets fired after a year because he's incompetent, nobody's going to care about the Patriots again. That's not a rivalry. That is just a feud. This thing fizzles out right away. It's just like everybody hates anybody winning. The 49ers in the 80s or whatever. This is not a rivalry. Nobody will care about the Patriots in 10 years.
Frankie does have a point in that if you count the number of Super Bowls between both the Packers and the Bears, the total is 5, 4 for the Packers and 1 for the Bears. The New England Patriots have 6. Their singular total is larger than the sum of the Bears and the Packers championships. So I do understand that when he's talking about people hating winning, there is a certain bit of an advantage, but I'm going to give the floor back to you to make another point. Can you tell me about key games or events that help shape the Packers and the Bears as the greatest rivalry in the NFL?
And this does go back. We'll talk about some history, Charles, because there's history here. It's not like people are going to wake up in 10 years and forget about Packers Bears. This has been going on 100 years. We're talking about Halas and Lombardi. And look, George Halas comes to the Packers locker room before the game. Paul Hornung likes to tell this story, Charles. He's a player. He used to play. History here. And George Halas is knocking on the door. They let him in. He says he wants to see Lombardi. What for? Okay, Lombardi comes to see him. What's going on, coach? And Halas goes to him, I just wanted to come here to tell you we're going to kick your ass today, and leaves. Like, that's great. That is awesome old school football. We're talking about Fridge scoring on Monday night against the Packers. We're talking about Favre and Rodgers just tearing up the Bears for a couple of decades and just leading. You talk about why Bears fans are miserable. They're miserable because of Green Bay Packers have been owning them for a couple of decades now. This is, again, we're not going to wake up in 10 years and hate the New England Patriots. Everyone's going to forget about the New England Patriots and hate the Baltimore Ravens or the Los Angeles Rams or whoever the next dynasty is. Packers and Bears will always hate each other. There is history involved here. There's bad blood. There's Charles Martin slamming Jim McMahon and all this stuff I could give you. This is never going away. That is what a rivalry is.
Frank is just out here dusting off the bones all day. Like, is that all you're just out? You're like in the mausoleum. Oh, that's a rivalry. That's a rivalry. What are you talking about? You're talking about people that the vast majority of NFL fans never watched play. You're talking about people, the vast majority of NFL fans never watched coach. I mean, like, look, I understand we're old, but we don't have to act like we're old on this show, okay? Let me give you you want to talk about the Patriots? Oh, everyone's going to forget the Patriots.
They will.
Except, the problem is it's the most dominant and hated 20-year run in NFL history. As Liz said, 6 Super Bowls, 9 Super Bowl appearances. And let me just run down the number of NFL teams that stupidly actually consider the Patriots their rivals. I don't know, the Miami Dolphins hate the New England Patriots, think it's their rivals. The New York Jets hate the New England Patriots. They think they're the rivals. The Buffalo Bills not only hate the Patriots, they hate the Patriots for stealing their players. They hate the Patriots for winning the division. Okay, so we got the Ravens and the Steelers that always ran up against them in the AFC title game. You got the Jacksonville Jaguars who had one shot at the Super Bowl.
The Jacksonville Jaguars? What?
Yeah, that's right. Say, if you ask them, who's your rival? Who do you hate the most? It's the Patriots because of the fumble that didn't happen. How about the Tuck rule game? We can go there. How about the Falcons in 28-3? How about this? The Jets, Colts, and Bengals, who all reported the Patriots for cheating. Have the Bears or the Packers ever been accused of cheating once by another NFL franchise? How about Josh McDaniels, who's the only coach in the Super Bowl era to leave a team, take a job, hire assistant coaches, and then go back to his old team before his first press conference? There's no question that this team, this era, the Bill Belichick era, defines rivalry because everyone thinks they're a part of it.
Charles, the era is going to end, and very soon Bill Belichick's an old man now.
The Bears and Packers ended.
Nobody's going to care.
The Bears and Packers have 3 Super Bowls in 52 years. That era ended a long time ago, and you're still talking about it. What are you talking about? Eras ending.
20 years. It could be 25 years. People root for the jerseys. People root for the franchises. These people live next to each other. Illinois, Wisconsin people don't get along. I can tell you that. That's why I don't like you, Charles, because you lived in Chicago for a while. But
okay,
it's one of those things where people in Wisconsin wake up, don't like Chicago people. Chicago people don't like Wisconsin unless they're going up there and ruining everybody's weekends by going up there and being on the lake and all that.
All right, Frank, you make a good point about
there's permanence.
You make a good point about geographic proximity, right? Like, I have definitely been called an FIB by a couple of Kenosha-nites. When I'm just trying to go to Kenosha, definitely got the FIB thrown my way. But I am sensing the difference between a rivalry and being hated. You can hate a bunch of people, but not necessarily feel like you have a rivalry towards them, that there is some back and forth. So, Frank, can you talk to me about some of the most controversial characters within the Bears-Packers rivalry.
And I think it goes to the dirtiest hit in NFL history. It's Charles Martin on Jim McMahon, completely ruined their dynasty, slammed him on his shoulder. Charles, there was history here. There's history. There's also the 2011 championship game where Rodgers got to his first Super Bowl. There's history here that the Bengals and Patriots, the Bengals don't care about the Patriots. They're going to let that go right away. Miami hates the Patriots. Sure, they hate the Jets too. They hate the Bills. It's just interdivision rivalries going on there. There's nothing permanent about this stuff. The Jacksonville Jaguars don't care about the Patriots, and they won't care in 10 years. You're telling me a Jaguars-Patriots game in 2030, the Jaguars are going to be fired up because something that happened in 2017? Like, no, it's unrealistic. People hate the Patriots. There's no rivalries here. It's just a thing right now, and it's 5 years from now, it's all going to change.
No, this argument's like a deflating balloon. You can just feel it on the other end of the screen right now. Listen, I will even help you out. I'll tell you the greatest rivalries of the two teams you picked, okay? The greatest rivalry in the last 40 years on the Bears. Jim McMahon versus Mike Ditka versus Buddy Ryan, okay? That was it was inside their own
now
team.
You got history. Stuff that happened 30 years ago,
because I got to go back, okay? I got to dust off my Encyclopedia Britannica so that I can fight the argument on your turf, okay? The greatest rivalry in the history of the Packers in the last, 40 years. Let's see, that would be Aaron Rodgers versus Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers versus Ted Thompson, Aaron Rodgers versus Mike McCarthy. All the rivalries on your teams are with each other. They're not even with the Bears or the Packers.
Rivalries. These are not rivalries. These are just feuds. These are things that happen in a moment.
You are spelling out.
They've made up. They're good now. Brett Favre's taken up for
spelling out a classic game. That's the trap you're falling into. Look, Bears-Packers, it's a classic game. There's no doubt about it. You know what? There are a lot of classic games.
Football's games.
Every single person on this call and every single person who's listening, okay, who played high school sports, your rivals were the people you hated. Okay, like when I played high school sports, when Frank and you did, when Liz, you did not like your rivals. You wanted to beat your rivals. There was an actual visceral reaction toward that other team. Right now, as I said before, the most visceral reaction inside these two franchises have to do with the quarterbacks and the front offices, not with each other. But look, okay, let me step aside from that. Tom Brady voted most hated player in 2019. NFL player.
He's not even on the Patriots anymore. Who cares?
Doesn't matter. It's the Bill Belichick era Patriots. That's what we're talking about. What do you mean he's not even on the Patriots? You're talking about guys from 35 years ago. You're like, Jim McMahon back in 1985, 1986.
That's my whole point. Tom Brady has nothing to do with the Patriots right now. Right? Like, what is okay? Jacksonville Jaguars going to hate on the Patriots?
Tom Brady has nothing to do with the Patriots right now. Have you? How many Tom Brady or Patriot related pieces have you written?
About $8 billion, yes.
Okay, well then maybe he still has something to do with the Patriots right now.
Tom Brady's not part of this anymore. Bill Belichick's leaving in a couple of years. They're going to be this cuddly, 7-9 team soon.
Frank, I was with you for a second, but I got to admit, Jim McMahon, I was not around for this hit. I'm going to be straight up. So this is a little too history. I hear you on the evolution of the Patriots, but Charles, then are you intimating that because Gronk has been pulled out of retirement by the buddy he got 3 of those rings with in Tampa Bay, now Tom and Tampa Bay and Gronk and Arians and all of that angry pirate bullshit is now also rivaling? I don't know. With the Patriots? Is that?
Absolute. What's the first game we all circled after Tom left for Tampa Bay? We circled the New England game. We know that that's a couple years down the line. We know when that game's going to happen. Of course, this is what happens. When teams beat the Patriots, it matters under Bill Belichick because he doesn't lose, okay? Don Shula, God rest his soul, passes away, and all we're talking about right now is, hey, man, you know what? If we're not talking about Don and his legacy, we're talking about Bill Belichick coming for that legacy and how everybody hates it and Bill doesn't deserve it. And this is a guy who, he cheated to get all these wins. And that is the essence of the rivalry. Like Frank keeps saying, well, people are going to forget about this. No one is ever going to forget the Bill Belichick era of the New England Patriots in history.
Nobody's going to care when they're 7-9. Nobody's going to be like, wow, the Patriots are coming to town. They're going to be like 6-8. Who cares?
A lot of people are going to be happy if the Patriots go 7-9 in season. Not
we're all going to forget. It's like nobody cared about the 49ers 3 years ago because they stunk.
No one outside of Green Bay or Chicago will care about the Bears or the Packers going 7-9. But I guarantee everybody in the league, if the Patriots go 7-9, will have something to say about it, including people in Green Bay and Chicago.
So you're hitting on something, Charles, which is a rivalry with Bill Belichick. You talk about historic moments, controversial moments, key moments. Most recently, right, watching Mike Vrabel off Bill Belichick in the playoffs was a giant moment. And then you could really feel, Brian Flores in Miami. That's even the same division. There's a rivalry between the student and the teacher, or the coach and the player that is mounting here. But in terms of a franchise, I know it's hard to separate Bill Belichick from the Patriots, but I feel like they're two different things. I'm going to let you try to convince me one last time with a closing argument, and then I'm going to let Frank close it all up before I announce who I believe the winner to be.
This is the era that matters. That's what we're defining. It's a defining era right now. We're in the middle of a defining era for the Patriots. Now, Frank wants to say no one's going to care in 5 years because Bill Belichick's going to be gone. Well, you know what, Frank? You're a betting man. Let's start putting money on that now because you actually don't know what's going to happen in 5 years. Just like you didn't know that, hey, back in the mid-'80s for the Chicago Bears, that was it. That was the peak. It was never really going to get better than the 1985 Chicago Bears, okay? But you're probably sitting there in 1985 going, the Bears are forever. They're going to be here forever. You're a Wisconsin Badger. I don't hear you out here saying, hey, Michigan, Notre Dame, that's the greatest rivalry ever because they've played the longest. They've got the most games against each other. No, what did you argue? You argued Auburn, Alabama. You didn't say Michigan, Notre Dame. Come on, man. This is your own argument. You're undercutting yourself.
There's permanence there. And you just said it. In 1985, what did I know? I knew that in 2020, the Bears and Packers would still hate each other. I knew that. That is called a rivalry. And I know in 2055, the Bears and Packers are still going to hate each other. But
you used the word hate. And my entire argument was built on hate. So you just pretty much said that my argument about hate is correct.
It doesn't really matter what he thinks, though, Charles. It matters what I think. And I think I am ready to deliberate, unless Frank, since Charles has done what he does beautifully, which is, take over the floor. If you would like to, for one moment, give yourself an opportunity to make a final argument, I'm happy to let you have it.
Again, I've said it all. In 10 years, the Patriots are going to be this cuddly 6-10 team, maybe. Bill Belichick's going to be retired on Nantucket. He's going to be on his boat. Nobody's going to really get hyped up to play the Patriots anymore. They're just going to go away like all NFL teams do. And the Packers and Bears will still be rivals.
Interesting. All right. Well, I think you both made very fervent, impassioned arguments. Charles, yours was certainly strong, and you got much further with it than I really thought you might. I do have to say, though, that when we're talking about a rivalry, history does matter. And yes, the current era, I'm the youngest one on this call, and I still think that the annals of history have to be respected. And when I think about proximity and geographic closeness to one another, and I know how much, even in Chicago and Green Bay, you saw the first game of the 100th season of the NFL was played on Thursday night between what two teams? The Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears, because it is a classic game. It is a classic rivalry. And as much as we all hate Bill Belichick, one man does not a franchise make. So congratulations, Frank, on your first foray into the boxed-in ring. You are the champion of this argument, and the greatest rivalry in NFL history remains the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers.
It's fixed.
Thank you. Thank you, Charles.
You're a Bears fan. It was fixed from the start. My appeal has been filed.
Also, I'm a little bit terrified that I'm going to find a dead bunny at my front door with Charles' signature on it. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Boxed In. If you haven't already, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. We are here on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Be sure to follow Yahoo Sports on social media at Yahoo Sports on Twitter and Instagram. We'll be back with another episode soon.